We print it. We all want it. So why does printing more of it make everyone poor? The answer lies in a king's shaved beard. Let's begin not with economics, but with a story. Imagine ancient Rome, 2nd century CE. You're a merchant in Pompeii. You earn a silver denarius for a day's work. That coin buys a loaf of bread and a few olives. The silver is real. The value is stable. But then Emperor Nero rises to power. He's ambitious. He wants to fund grand palaces, massive armies, and lavish games. But Rome's silver mines are drying up. So Nero does something radical. He orders his mint workers to shave silver off every coin. They reduce the silver content by 10%, replacing it with cheaper bronze. The coins still look the same. The emperor still spends them as if they're pure silver. But now, each coin is worth less. And here's the critical part. Everyone else knows. They see the coins getting lighter, cheaper. So what do? They demand more coins for the same bread. They raise prices. The value of the denarius collapses. And the Roman economy starts to rot. This wasn't just Nero. Emperors for centuries kept shaving silver off coins. Caligula minted coins with his face on both sides. Diocletian tried to fix prices with edicts, but it only made black markets thrive. Each time, inflation crept in. The lesson: money isn't just metal or paper. It's trust. When you debase the metal, you debase the trust. And without trust, money becomes worthless. Rome fell. Centuries passed. Metals were still used, but paper money started to appear in medieval Europe. Kings and banks issued paper notes backed by gold or silver in vaults. The trust shifted. You didn't need to carry heavy gold coins. You could trade paper because everyone believed the bank, or the king, had the real metal to back it. But the temptation remained. Kings loved paper. It was easy to print. So, when they needed money, for wars, for taxes, for their mistresses, they'd print more notes. But if they printed too much, the same problem happened. People realized the notes weren't backed by enough gold. They stopped trusting the paper. They started demanding more paper for the same goods. Prices soared. Inflation returned. The paper money lost its value. The trust was broken again. Now fast forward to 1920s Germany. World War I had destroyed the economy. The government was bankrupt. They needed money fast, so they printed massive amounts of paper marks. Billions, trillions. The problem? There was no gold or silver to back it. None. The government was literally printing money out of thin air. At first it seemed like a miracle. People could buy things. But then, the trust vanished. Businesses realized the money was worthless. Workers demanded salaries paid hourly because prices changed by the hour. Shopkeepers refused to sell unless paid in foreign currency. The government printed even more. The more they printed, the faster the value collapsed. By 1923, a loaf of bread cost trillions of marks. People carried money in wheelbarrows. They burned it for heat because it was cheaper than coal. The German mark became toilet paper. This wasn't an accident. It was the direct result of printing money without any limit, without any trust, without any real value to back it. The government had destroyed the very thing it was trying to save. Today, money is mostly digital, but the principle is the same. The US dollar, for example, isn't backed by gold anymore. It's backed by trust. Trust that the US government is stable, that its economy is strong, that the Federal Reserve knows what it's doing. And for decades, that trust held. The dollar became the world's dominant currency. But here's the modern twist. Governments and central banks do print money all the time. They create digital money through processes like quantitative easing. They borrow trillions. So why doesn't the dollar collapse like the German mark? Because so far, the trust remains. The US is seen as a stable, powerful nation. The dollar is still the global standard. But the question lingers. What happens if they print too much? What if trust erodes? This is where modern monetary theory, MMT, comes in. MMT says the US government doesn't need to worry about deficits or debt. It creates money. It's the issuer of the currency. As long as people accept the dollar, the government can spend without limit. It can fund everything: healthcare, green energy, debt forgiveness, just by printing more money. Inflation? MMT argues it only happens if the economy is already at full capacity, if there's no unused workers or resources. So, theoretically, the government could print money to boost demand without causing inflation. As long as the economy can grow to meet it, MMT sounds powerful, but it ignores the core lesson of history. Trust is everything. The US government can print money, but if people lose faith that the dollar is valuable, or that the government won't print too much, the whole system collapses. Think about it. If the government prints trillions to say, give everyone $10,000, what happens? At first people spend, but if everyone knows more money is coming, what do? They start demanding higher prices now. Businesses raise prices. Workers demand higher wages. And if the government keeps printing to solve the inflation it caused, it's a vicious cycle. The moment trust breaks, the dollar becomes like the German mark, worthless. MMT assumes people will always trust the US government. History says otherwise. Empires fall, simple. Governments fail. Trust is not infinite. So what's the modern equivalent of shaving silver off coins? It's printing money digitally without creating real value. The Federal Reserve creates trillions in digital dollars during crises. Governments run massive deficits. But where's the real value going into the system? Is it building factories, training workers, innovating? Or is it just more money chasing the same amount of goods? Every time the government or Fed creates money without a corresponding increase in real goods and services, it's effectively debasing the currency. It's making each dollar slightly less valuable. That's why, even in stable economies, we see slow, persistent inflation. The king's beard is being shaved, just with code instead of a knife. The fundamental truth is this: money is a social contract. Its value comes from collective belief. If everyone believes a dollar is worth $1, it is worth $1. But if that belief fractures, if people start hoarding, if they flee to gold or foreign currencies, if they demand ever higher prices, the contract shatters. Printing money can work in the short term. It can stimulate an economy, but printing it forever without creating real value or maintaining trust is a path to collapse. Rome fell. Germany collapsed. Venezuela's currency is worthless. The US dollar might be more resilient for now. But history shows no currency is immune to the law of trust. You can print money, but you can't print trust. So if money is just paper or digits, why can't we print more forever? Because money isn't just paper or digits. It's a story we tell each other, a promise, a shared fantasy of value. And like any story, it only holds power as long as we believe it. The king who shaved his beard off coins learned this the hard way. Weimar Germany learned it in fire. And the world is learning it again today. Every time a government or central bank hits print, the question isn't, can we print more? It's, should we? And more importantly, for how long will anyone believe it's real? The history of money is the history of trust. From Roman silver to German marks to digital dollars, the pattern repeats. When trust erodes, money dies. And in a world where money is increasingly abstract, where algorithms create trillions with a keystroke, the lesson is more urgent than ever. We can print money, but we cannot print the belief that it matters. And without that belief, even the most sophisticated currency becomes just another piece of paper. Or, as the Romans learned, a shaved coin heading for oblivion. Consider the 2021-2023 inflation surge. Central banks printed trillions to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. Governments injected money into economies. At first, it seemed necessary. But when the money outpaced the production of real goods, when factories couldn't keep up, when supply chains broke, prices soared. This wasn't a random event. It was the modern echo of Nero's shaving knife. The trust in money stability wavered. People saw prices rise. They demanded higher wages. Businesses raised prices further. The cycle continued. This isn't theory. It's happening now. Then there's the rise of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin and others promise a trustless system. No governments, no central banks. But even crypto relies on trust. Trust in code. Trust in networks. Trust that the value won't collapse overnight. And it does. The 2022 collapse of the Terra Luna ecosystem wiped out $40 billion in minutes. Why? Because trust evaporated. People realized the digital gold was just as fragile as the paper marks. No system is immune to the trust paradox. So where does this leave us? Money will keep evolving. Digital, decentralized, algorithmic, but its core remains unchanged. It is a tool of trust. The more we print without building factories, training workers, or innovating, the more we weaken that trust. The more we rely on digital creation without real-world value, the closer we get to the German mark in a wheelbarrow. The lesson from history isn't that money is flawed. Trust in money is finite. Empires rise and fall. Governments change. But the core truth remains. Money lives only by our belief. Print too much, and belief dies. The real question today isn't if we can print money, but how. Whether we back it with real value, trust, and human effort. Otherwise, we're debasing money already turning to dust.